Good morning, all you beautiful people on YouTube land. It's Christmas, and we're going to start getting stuff ready. I have an arch that we were experimenting with. This is already going to be a two-parter, but we're going to show you what's going on here and see how we did stuff. We have a bunch of PVC rebar, PVC fittings. It's been a little bit of a project for us. The rebar was cheaper to buy a 10-foot long length. I need them at 5 feet long, but if you bought them at 5 foot long, they were the same price as a 10-foot long. So it was much cheaper to do it this way. A little bit more tedious, I guess, to say if you have the tools, you can do it easily. I just used an angle grinder with a cutoff bit on it. Not too hard to use. I probably could have executed this a little bit easier. This is only my fourth or fifth video I've made. This is the first one doing a voiceover on, so suggestions are very helpful. At this point, I'm just trying to get everything lined up. That first time I spray painted was just marking at 5 feet. I'm just trying to get them all lined up together. This way I can just do like a one line of spray paint, make it easier. This is just going to be more of a rough estimate. Paint is just there more so we can see what's going on and I know where I'm cutting. It's going to be, again, like I said, an estimate. This part does not have to be accurate at all. It's just going to be in the ground a couple feet. I think I went 1.5 feet in. Some might have been a little bit short because there were stones on the side of the driveway, and I guess we didn't get them all the way out. They wouldn't go through, but we do know what's underneath. Again, if you're digging or pounding something, and call Julie before you dig or put something in like that. I'm kind of rough marking it a little bit better all the way across with the angle grinder at this time. I do have ear protection on. I was just wearing my regular glasses that I use to see with every day, but safety first. So I'm going to speed up through this, but after showing you one or two cuts here, it doesn't take that long, only a couple seconds to get all the way through. It would probably be a lot easier if I had a sawhorse. I was, as you can see, just doing this out of the bed of my truck. All of these are cut. I have a stick that I keep in my truck that had a hook on it so I could pull stuff out of the bed, and I just marked on them about every 6 inches. This way I just know, as a quick reference mark, if I needed to check something to fit, I have an idea on there. We're gonna mark out 1 foot on each side of the driveway and 5 feet apart. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mark the 5 feet out, and then I'll mark 1 foot over. That gray one is where the first one's going to be, but it will be 1 foot over from it. Now we did measure this out 5 feet because a PVC pipe is 10 feet wide, and we can just cut it in half and have our space in between being perfect for the PVC pipes that we use for the arch, which you will see in the future of how that came together. I did end up coming further away from the house. I'm not at 5 feet, I think it's like 3 feet. Part of the reason was, one, I didn't want it right against the house, and two, if you look all the way down at the end, I didn't want it at the very, very corner of the driveway. One, because we get snow in Illinois, and we didn't want it to build up, and then if we're making a turn with the snow plow or the snow blower, we just wanted some extra space just to be safe. So the very first mark closest to the blacktop is the 5 feet out, and then the second one over is the 1 foot over. So the 1 foot over part is where we are putting the rebar stake in. And that was repeated all the way down. You can see there's a little bit less than 5 feet at the end. And we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So at this point, I grabbed about half the rebar, so I have 6 of them, and I started marking them out at 1.5 feet, just so I know how deep to put them in. I should have just done them all at the same time. I do go and grab the other ones. And as you can see, just by putting it down on the asphalt, that's how I just eyeballed or estimated them to be at that equal distance. So you can see they're about 1.5 inch, or 1.5 feet up. So I'm speeding it up a little bit. It's actually a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be for these rebar to go in. One thing also on the rebar is some of the ends end up being bent just when you buy them, but you can just hammer that end in. On this one, I wasn't going in all the way. It was about 1.5 inches short, so I was hitting that rock that I was talking about, but I feel like it's in deep enough and it should be safe and fine. Here I just wanted to speed up and show you how it went. You'll actually see, I think on this one or the next one, this one, I got a pallet because being up a little bit higher helped to hammer that in and get it initially started. If you're short, you might want a ladder, but just being up like 4 inches was good for me. They look a little bit uneven right now, but they're actually pretty much straight in line. The other side you'll see is not straight at the beginning because of hitting rocks, and it's kind of on an angle and it's pointed out. this first one, I definitely prefer it to be pointed out, and you don't even notice at the end when everything's up. So here we're starting with the PVC pipe. This is the connector that we're using by the ends, so it's a T instead of a 4-way. You'll see the 4-way up later. The way I have this set up is for 3 pieces of PVC pipe at 10 feet. I do not glue them or screw them, I just screw them in at the end so that it can be taken apart. And I hope I did it right, that I can put the lights on it and be able to fold it into 3 pieces and store it up. I was having a hard time getting them up, so I got a hammer. That didn't work, so I tried and get some window track lubricant. It doesn't usually leave a residue. It did help, but I then experimented with actually just using WD-40. Didn't do much more, but then I ended up using petroleum jelly, and that worked a lot better. We were almost able to slide them in. I was getting worried if I would have them slip out, but I just decided to put screws in the junctions at the top once everything was put up. The part that gets hard with this is actually trying to get 30 feet of pipe all hooked together by yourself. I started using the stake pockets on the truck to hold it in place. Here I'm kind of wedging it in that corner in the bed. You can see I put it in the stake pocket to try and get them to hammer together. And if you look in here, you can kind of see if it focuses that it's seated properly. So I was checking those throughout. I already did one, that was the T. This one is the 4-way. It's just real easy. I'm just trying to show like how easy they slide over. You start on one side, it slides right in. Only thing that I had a problem with, maybe on the second one, was that you kind of had to push the stake in just a little bit. I think you see that with my knee, just to get it lined up properly. Yeah, I just had to push in just a little bit and it slides right over. Yeah, real simple, real easy. So you can see I have petroleum jelly out. You'll see how these just slide basically right on. A lot easier. So then I decided to go through all this. I thought I was going to be smart and put all the connections on, get everything set up. And then I realized I put too many connections on the wrong pipe. I was supposed to put those plus type connectors, one on either side, and I only put it on one side. So then I realized I need to redo this. This is my realization that I messed up. So once I figured that out, it started going pretty quick and easy. I eventually learned that if you took a pair of channel locks and grabbed the pipe and the other side together, you could hammer them in, and it made it much easier. Here it came apart, so I tried putting it back together, and then at that point that piece snapped. You can kind of see it on that one that I put down the ground. I don't know why. I'm sure it's probably my fault for it. But what I ended up doing later is I had some gray PVC electric pipe, same size, and I just cut it, put it in for one of the 5 foot sections, and spray painted it white, and it looked great. you can't even tell that there was a difference. So here we're cutting these at 5 feet. These have to be pretty much exact so that it's not wobbly and all uneven. But I did pick up this one tool that you'll see in here from Menards. It was only 10 bucks. I bought one a couple years ago for like 2-inch pipe, PVC pipe, and it was just terrible. It wouldn't do anything. But this one worked great, and it was cheaper than the one I bought last time. Only thing is you had to like push down on the blade a little bit just to get it to dig in the pipe, and then it would start ratcheting. You just squeeze it a couple times, and that's it. It actually made a pretty smooth cut. The old one that I was talking about that I've had, it would always cut on an angle. I bought it off of like Amazon. So trying not to get in the way of the camera, you can kind of see like I squeezed it, it didn't do anything to ratchet it, but like if I squeeze just a little bit, then it works perfectly fine. So this is me putting them in. You can see the plus sign connector and then the T connector, which is closest to the garage. Grabbed an extra petroleum jelly if I needed to. I slid these in, and then you can rotate it down and made it a little bit easier. The clamp I was trying to use to help rotate, at first I didn't want to use a pair of channel locks or vice grips because I didn't want to mar the plastic, but I ended up using them later. It didn't actually mar the plastic. The clamps do work. It is just a little bit slippery, like if I try to grab the pipe and not a connector, it would just spin. So that's why I eventually switched over to the other channel locks. And then you still needed to hammer these in a little bit. Other than that, it's been perfectly fine. At the time of doing this recording for the narration, it's been up for about 2 weeks. And we've had some pretty good wind. We've been under wind advisories. No problems. Kids play slide thing has actually tipped over in the backyard. So this thing's been fine. I did put bows on it, and that's the only problem I've had is the bows have blown off, but they were 75 cents at Menards, so I probably just need to zip tie them on better. And just trying to show, how they go together. Once they're hooked together like this with the 5-foot sections, they do get it makes it a lot more sturdy, I should say. One thing that we did not take into consideration when building this was pulling the cars in. We don't usually keep our cars in the garage. Usually it's just the wife's because we have a snowplow and a snowblower in there. So it takes up quite a bit of room, and honestly the truck doesn't fit lengthwise. But unless you pull in perfectly, your car doors do not open. You'll hit the pipes. So if I could do it again, or if I started over again from scratch, I'd probably try to figure out if I could make them further apart. So instead of 1 foot on either side, do maybe like 2 feet on either side, but that will lower the height of the arch itself. Other than that, we're pretty much here at the end of the video. If you like it, please like and subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated. I really actually hate having to say that because I feel like everyone that watches these, I hope are smarter and know, hey, let me like this if I think it's a good video. But we'll see you in the second one, and I'll show you getting all the lights on. Have a great one.